If your business drains you and you feel burned out and you just maybe feel exhausted about your situation and the business that should actually give you excitement and pleasure and financial growth in the first place is not really satisfying, then this video is for you. And I will share with you literally the only reason why you're burning out over and over again, and also the way you can stop it. I myself experienced burnout over and over again when I had my first companies when I was younger. And I was just super driven, way too excited to finally grow and build my business. But no matter how much money I earned, it never felt truly satisfying. And also I constantly burned out. I had moments where I started to drink alcohol, where I had to use sleeping pills to be able to actually relax and rest and have proper sleep. If we experience burnout, I like to use the picture that we're a Formula One car, and I assume you're a high-performing individual, so you have high goals, you have a high standard, you really have maybe high expectations for yourself, so you really want to grow and build the life that you really desire. So I see you and me as this Formula One car with these Formula One tires, and it's a very strong engine, but we're not even stuck in sand, we're stuck in snow. No matter how hard we push the gas, our tires are they're just turning, but nothing really happens. It seems like no matter how much we do, we're not shifting anything. There's this impact that we actually desire is not happening. To just push the gas, do you think that will shift your situation? Probably not, right? To just push the gas. We actually need someone to tie us out of that snow, so we are now on like a proper road and we can drive there. But I want you to first understand just pushing the gas will not shift your situation. Let's have a look on how the brain, how the human psyche and emotions actually cause us to constantly have our tires running through and not shifting the needle. If I ask you, first of all, how does your situation feel? How does your business feel to you? What's the first answer that comes up? For me personally, back then, it was exhausting. It was just draining, dissatisfying. I felt pissed off of my business. I felt like I'm putting so much energy into that shit, and why is it not happening? Like this anger combined with like just almost like hopelessness. Now, one question from my mentor shifted literally my whole paradigm for me, because I went to him and I said, look, I want to grow my business. I want to make more money. And he asked me, well, why? And I told him, because I want to have a great life, and I want to scale this company to a couple million a year. And he was, well, if that doesn't make you happy, why should your system actually feel excitement, desire, and give you energy? Why should your brain support that action of building more of that you already hate? Why, right? So I was like, shit, actually, there's something right about it. There's something right about if that is already dissatisfying. Why should my system provide me the energy to actually be able to shift it? We're gonna go a couple steps forward. Watch this video till the end and you're gonna get to a point where you're like, okay, I got it and I don't have to burn out anymore. But that is just the first place that I want to kind of like a certain layer that I want you to be at with me, so we actually come to a place where we can shift it. The sharing that I've just shared gives us the information that we have a system in our brain and hormones that cause us to do certain things, that give us energy into certain moments, and we have moments where we then have a drive to actually execute and create impact. We have to understand our human species survived over so many years. Our intelligence developed over so many years. That means if your brain, your system, and that's what I've learned through that sharing of my mentor, if your brain doesn't support your current situation, it probably knows something that you consciously don't realize. And that's the moment where I want you to take a step away from that car, from yourself that's stuck in the snow, and watch yourself, look at yourself. And we realize maybe, okay, maybe that one tire is half on the road, the other 3 tires are stuck in snow, maybe one tire is kind of sticking out. So what you probably would do is like you would get a new car, take something you can tie that your Formula One car with, right? And you would pull it out. That's how you would approach that situation. But how most entrepreneurs or business owners or high achievers do it, they're kind of like still sitting in that car, pushing the gas, not really getting out of that car, creating an observing situation. So one massive major learning that I want you to start with, whenever you start feeling burnt out or exhausted or whatever, I want you to jump out of that car and actually look at your car, at yourself, metaphorically speaking, and understand how are you currently even positioned and where do you start right now. It's important that you take time to reflect. Now, looking outside of that, on that car, looking from the outside, from the observer position at yourself, you will realize that you're emotionally actually not in a state of love, abundance, and safety. And I look at it that, or humans in general, act from 2 main positions and operate from 2 main positions. And it's either love or fear. Either we're in a state of love, abundance, and love also comes through feeling actually safe, or we're in a state of survival, which is then fear. Trying to survive, trying to make money. Most people, including me, who burned out are operating from that place of fear. Not feeling safe, not feeling grounded, not feeling present, not feeling like it is okay to finally rest. Now, a client approached me the other day and said, I think there's a problem with me. My problem, and the problem with me is that I'm like always stressed and always feeling fear and anxiety that something might go wrong. I want you to know that there's nothing wrong with you. You just somehow learned to deal with a situation in this way. You maybe learned to deal with fear, with expectations, with pressure in business or in your career or wherever, that you have to push harder, push more, and just not allow yourself to feel or breathe or take space. Looking at the client situation, how he grew up is that his father was an alcoholic, his mom had very high expectations and demands, and at least that's his personal view and experience, how he experienced his childhood. That meant that was his surrounding where he grew up and that he feels familiar with. Now, 20, 30 years further, he is now business owner, having a big company, and feels like he can't feel safe at all. His clients are often people who do not pay, who manipulate, who abuse through just not paying, delaying their payments, and so on. He just really attracted his home situation from his childhood in his business. So here you have to understand there's nothing wrong with you. But first of all, you started feeling safe and familiar with those circumstances. Second, this is the way you learned how to deal with those situations. Particularly this client, he just learned to grow up fast, moved out of home very early, started just, going for jobs everywhere, just had multiple jobs at a time, constantly being stressed out. But that's how he survived. So his brain is now conditioned on, that's how I'm surviving while being stressed, through being stressed. And especially on the other hand, when he's stressed, that started to be rewarded because, of course, on one side he survived with that, but also he does not have to feel that fear inside him, right? So even if he has enough money to actually relax for a moment, even if it wouldn't be too bad to actually take 1 or 2 or 3 days or a week of rest, even if he could have the capacity to it, he doesn't do it because it's not being rewarded. In fact, taking a holiday or actually resting, going to the spa and taking time for himself, he would not even allow himself to take that rest because that would feel unsafe. So we have to understand how he then conditioned and wired his brain to believe what's right, and also his hormones then creating a certain emotion or feeling. That belief of like, if I'm stressed out, that feels good, that's how I survive, that's great, good job, keep going. Now, my question to you is, how do you want your business to feel? And that's major, that's important, because if your business currently does not feel really safe, satisfying, abundant, nourishing, you want to shift it. Otherwise, you constantly make up for it. You're compensating with your own well-being, with your own performance, with your own health state, mentally, emotionally, physically too. You're compensating for it. Most of the people that I speak to are telling me that their business should feel nourishing, making their life rich and feel rich too. It's not just financially, that it feels safe, and that it feels like it's something they can rely on. Now, it's important to understand, we have now with the information from this video so far, you will understand that you are actually who's causing that situation to happen. You are the person who's building that business and creating those consequences. It means ultimately, if you do not shift, your business won't either. I often say here, your life is a mirror. So your outer circumstances are basically mirroring your inner circumstances. Feeling stress, unsafety inside you, you will create that in the outer circumstances in the outer world too. Means I want you to first now focus on what are the things that would actually make you feel safe. And now that could be, for instance, let me give you an example. I felt extremely unsafe back then in my agency time when I had my marketing and branding agency, because I knew I've made money and I've invested a lot of money into education, mentors, and so on, but I still had tax to pay. And I was stressed out for months. And I remember my mentor was just like, well, how much tax do you have to pay? And I was like, I have no clue. And he looked at me like, you silly idiot. Why didn't you just, take that moment and investigate how much tax you have to pay? And even if that is an amount that I haven't been able to pay at that point when it was due, I still would have been able to create a plan. But instead of actually confronting that topic, I avoided that whole situation for so long. That means sometimes I even worked 4 hours a day, but I just felt so drained and exhausted because that fear just ate me up and ultimately also took my energy. What have I done in that situation? I called my tax advisor, said, look, that's the amount of money I've made. How much tax do I have to pay? Until when do I have to pay it? And even if I'm not able to pay all of it at once, is there any way I can, find a payment plan, be able to negotiate with the government or to figure it out? And here I want you to give that one particular learning around fear and insecurity or the feeling of unsafety is, first of all, it is your responsibility to get out of that car, out of that Formula One car, and look at your situation. Not just your situation outside, but especially your inner situation. How do you think? How do you feel? how do you act on those feelings? That ability to self-reflect is one ability I teach my clients the most, and that frees them actually from that internal struggle and also self-sabotaging behavior. Step number 2 is to confront that situation that's present for you and then deal with it in a conscious way. You do not want to unconsciously, constantly running away from that feeling of fear and being avoidant to what's happening. What you want is to confront it. That's where you find safety, because fear will only leave if we make the unknown known. Fear is an emotion that reflects us. Okay, there's something that I do not know. Maybe how it will turn out. Maybe the feedback that my client will give. Maybe I don't know how much tax I have to pay. Then confronting that situation, making the truth visible, we actually are able to deal with situations because we're able to grasp things. We can focus on certain things that actually then shift the needle. So from that moment, you're empowered to create safety inside you and therefore also in your outer circumstances. So if you're right now watching this video thinking, okay, maybe I want to not just shift the situation that I'm in, but shift my whole life throughout and also support my career and my business with it, feel free to reach out to me. Click the link under this video, book a free discovery call with me. Let me help you out for 30 minutes for free. And if you like this video, just put your thumbs up, follow that channel, and comment more topics, more questions into the comments. I will respond there with my answers to it. See you in the next video. All the best. Bye-bye.